Okay, so this is a meeting of the Street Naming Committee and the Safety Committee. We have a joint meeting scheduled. Can I have a motion to open
So moved.
in a second?
Second.
Thanks. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, we're open. Today on our agenda, we have two items. The first is 1563 and 1565 Main Street. And I'm going to have Jim kind of open that up for us.
Yeah, the discussion, Julie, is really about three properties that were developed as retreat lots between 1561 and 1563 Main Street. What it's produced is a problem for Kelly because there's no addresses for that. The common driveway petition has been made to the planning board, and all three lots have been sold, and the property owners are now contacting me saying, you know, what are we going to have for addresses? We've been pushing for addresses, and Kelly's been more than amendable to getting our addresses before I issue permits, but there's no addresses to be given here. So I guess the question is are we agreeable to maybe naming the common driveway as just that, as a drive, that would have three different addresses on it of their own, so that they, you know, we can issue permits, we can have a separate file, and they'll be able to receive mail, and Kelly be able to receive or establish accounts for them for taxing.
Does anyone else have comments?
I think it's a good idea, but I mean, at the same time, once we start doing it, it might be something that we're going to need to do in some other cases too.
I mean, there's always that possibility, Joe, but I mean, you know, I'm not in favor of this, other than the fact that I don't see any alternative for it. And I don't believe, you know, it hasn't come up in the previous 14 years I've been here, so hopefully it won't come up again. There seems to have been, you know, I mean, this was kind of something that the planning board threw into the mix, you know, in 1996 when they established retreat lots. And, you know, as normal things have been moving along, there were addresses, but the town wasn't really that heavily populated at the time. So, you know, hopefully it wouldn't happen again. There is an agreement that the planning board makes, the abutters have, that says the road will always be private, always be maintained by the abutting property owners. They all hold a third in it, because a common drive can only satisfy the entrance for three lots. So this is, I think it's an unusual circumstance, but could it happen again? Yeah, probably.
I think the signage would be very important too. You know, obviously created a drive. I love that idea. But with the also the appropriate street sign calling it a private way.
Yeah, I think that's necessary. I mean, the thing that's a little discouraging for me, of course, you run up that way. We have Perry Lane, which really is not a lane. We have Zuber Lane, which isn't a lane. And I actually think that, you know, as a safety committee, we need to discourage that kind of thing where people are naming their private driveways.
So Jim, my question would be, is this typical, you know, to name a common drive? Is this something you've done in the past?
It hasn't been done in the past that I know of, other than where, like I say, people have just on their own put a sign out at the end of their driveway, but their address is still such and such Main Street.
Okay. Kelly, do you have any preference here for?
Well, Jim is correct. I've never seen in my time here a common drive be named, and it could have imposed safety issues for sure. Historically, when we've had few and far between that have come through where it's a retreat lot, we usually use the rear or A or B scenario to the property that has the frontage. As far as I'm concerned, I think we should just go the route of, you know, the best route for the town and the residents, obviously, and the property owners for safety purposes, you know, primarily. So that's what's important to me. As far as the assessors, we can name it whatever people would like that to be named. So
So in a situation like this in the past, would you normally say, you know, like A, B, and C for the 3 lots that are on the common drive?
I've never numbered a common drive. That's what I'm saying. What we've done is it's been a rear, like 1561 rear or 1561B, something to that scenario. I've never actually given an address on a common drive. So it would be new territory for me too.
See, I guess the question I have as I look at this is then what do you have? You end up with 1561 A, B, and C.
Right.
You know, and then I think that just becomes a nightmare for the, you know, for the mail people or for whatever. I mean,
Mhm.
I agree, Jim. You know, as far as emergency services go, going back probably about 25 years when Enhanced 911 first came in, they made a concerted effort to get rid of the split properties, you know, the 310, 310 rear, 310 A, B, and C. You know, at that time, that was, you know, probably we're talking mid 90s, and it seems that the state 911 seems to have not enforced that as much as time has gone on with new address. But speaking from a public safety point of view, when you're getting up there and you're trying to figure out, is it 1561, is it A, B, and C? I mean, we have enough trouble sometimes with addresses not being well marked, never mind when you get into retreat lots. When you look at a retreat lot, when you go down, you would think A would be on the right, B would be in front of you, and C would be on the left. That's not necessarily always the case. So I would, you know, not to set precedent, but I would be in favor of naming the lane. I'm not going to mention the street, but there is another street in town where there is sort of a retreat lot that's kind of in the middle, and the numbers are non-sequential. And we go there on occasion for alarm calls, and it's sometimes it's difficult to find it because not the same people go every time. If it's an alarm call, we get there when we get there. But if you have a you know, medical emergency or some other type of emergency where public safety needs to get there, the names and the numbers need to be pretty clearly marked and clearly defined.
yeah, I agree. There are a number of confusing spaces as we go through town, all related to the development of retreat lots.
How can we, and maybe this is a question to speak to the DPW, but, and Chief Richmond, is there a way we can put you know, a red sign rather than a green sign there? Just to make it stand out more for our first responders and, you know, obviously the mail carriers too, rather than the typical green sign. I don't know if that's allowable.
I've seen, I imagine it would be, I'm going to defer probably to the DPW on that, but what I have seen, and I'm not sure that I can particularly say that it's an Acushnet, but I have seen, we see a street sign, and then right below it, you see the top is the name of the street, and then you have like a regular rectangular sign below it that says private way.
Right.
You know, that helps to define what it is.
I've seen the same, Chief.
Yeah, I think that should be a must.
Yeah. I mean, I have no issue with naming the common drive as long as it doesn't set any kind of precedent. I mean, it's already documented in the deed that it's a private way and it's not accepted by the town. So as long as there's no, you know, precedent that it would set for the town to get involved in naming the street, I agree. I think it would be much easier for public safety, for the mail to know where they're going. So I have no issue with that.
I have no concerns as long as it's well marked and we take a look at how to make sure that it is well marked.
So Jim or Kelly, typically in this situation, you know, how do they determine the name? What are our next steps if they do choose to go down that road?
Those were my questions. And to Jim, have you seen a plan for the common driveway? You said no, I haven't either. And
I have
also,
seen one.
you have, I have not.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's recorded, of course, for my purposes, for the legality of it, it needs to be recorded. And the stipulations on the deed, because since they've already passed hands from the developer, aren't on the original deeds, as you had mentioned, Julie, in your previous conversation. So that's got to catch up too, and make sure we have the right, you know, protocol and procedures in line. So we're not missing anything from the town side.
Thanks, Kelly. So, do we want to, put this on hold until we have all of the, properly recorded plans in our hand?
The developer would need to
think-
get notified, Jim, or, I mean, who would
Yeah,
we start with on
I
that
think if
side?
we will move forward, we can just let, it's file and I can contact them. We can, come up with a name.
Okay.
And, I guess the numbers on that side of the street are odd.
They are.
So would we number all the lots on that odd numbers, 1, 3, 5?
Like, I'd have to take a good look at it, because then you take it into place where the actual physical frontage is, if it's on the east or west instead of north or south, you know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say?
On that side of the street, they're all odd numbers, so it is on the
Correct.
west side.
Right, so if we go with that, then absolutely, then it would be all odd numbers.
Okay.
All right, I'll contact, if the rest of the board is agreeable, I'll contact Farland, and let the homeowners know. And we can
Very
move
good.
forward with this prior to, building permits being issued.
Okay.
Agreed.
Have you received anything, Joe, yet for septic systems up there?
No,
Okay.
I did get application. I know that they want to put one of the houses in a place that they perked already, so we have to re-perk some of them. But that's all.
So
it's-
there's quite a bit of time then still.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
Great. So, I'll make a motion for, Jim to follow up with the developer, and we'll kind of go from there. If there's a second, and we'll let Jim go through with that.
I
I'll
second
second
that
it.
motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Right. Thanks, Jim. So the next item that we have to talk about is the Bradford Street, map 15, lot 481 and 482. Kelly, do you want to just give us some background on that one?
Sure. This came to light for me in my office when the property owners, the Deterra Development, contacted me after being told by Eversource to contact the assessors in order to start a new service down this road where he potentially, I'm going to assume, wants to put homes. After I did some research, Bradford Street is part of a planned subdivision that was recorded in 1912. Nothing's ever been developed there, obviously, in all of these years, and they're looking to do that now. So I just want to make sure before I go forth and tell Eversource that yes, it's a go for their new service, that the street is definitely acceptable, or I don't know the correct term, but a go to, move forward for the utility.
Kelly, what's the location on that, of an existing street?
That runs off of Pembroke Avenue.
Okay, down the end? Oh, no, that's on the right-hand side?
Yes.
It's on the right-hand side, Chief. It's the next street going up Pembroke after Belanger.
Okay,
And it's really, it's funny to look at it. It's not it may be labeled Bradford Street, but it's not really a completely laid out street. In other words, it looks to me like it's only about 20 feet in width.
Lisa had emailed everybody. I received a plan from the electrician who also contacted me about the same issue that Mr. Deterra did, where they're potentially looking to subdivide lot 481 into 3 potential buildable lots with frontage on Bradford Street. So that's what prompted all of these questions, and of course, Eversource getting involved.
That is the way I see that is a planning board issue that may exist. Like Jim just said, may exist on a subdivision plan, which would make it, a road, but not necessarily a adequate road for the planning board to approve. I don't know. It definitely at first glance looks, I don't know. I haven't seen the plan that you saw or the information that you said, Kelly, that's recorded, but it does look like it's narrow and the planning board requires a certain width.
I believe Lisa sent all the mapping information to everyone present here, and that plan is part of it. I could be wrong, don't quote me.
Well, the parcel's all part of what's 90 Pembroke Ave and consists of those two parcels. When Henry created the residential village zone, he split that property so that the larger parcel actually is only in the residential zone, whereas the smaller one meets the requirements, but is in the residential village zone. So they were able to subdivide that as 3 lots. But the way I look at it, they would have to resubmit a plan to the planning board to create the frontage or accept all of the land and establish some other criteria by which they're developing it. I know they approached me at one point in time trying to develop the larger lot as 40B apartments. And, you know, that's just not something that they can do without a lot more paperwork.
So Jim, you're saying this should probably go back to the planning board first before.
Yeah, I think we should postpone this, not make any decisions and bring this back to the planning board.
I agree. Let them make the decision on it and on how they want to move forward.
Jim, do you want to make a motion to put?
I'll make that motion. Make the
Um,
motion that the plan currently go back to the planning board for further clarification on how the lots will be developed in conjunction with the roadway.
And a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. Thank you for that. And we have nothing else on our agenda, so I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I second.
Thanks. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you, guys. We're adjourned. Thanks for your time.